welcome back. And we're moving into our second conversation for today. We have Minor LaRue back with us. And of course, he is a digital marketing expert. And for those of you in business, we're going to be tackling Facebook Marketing 101. Minor, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you guys for having me once again. I really enjoy the opportunity with you guys.
You know, let me tell you one of the reasons why I love when you're here with us. I don't know much when it comes to Facebook and the other ways to digital marketing. Now we know that digital marketing is actually the way to go. Nobody is actually doing it traditionally again. And reason for that is because everybody ventures off into into the digital world. Now talk to us about it. Facebook Marketing 101. This is where everybody is. How do you get started? How do we start that?
Well, first and foremost, it's pretty easy. A lot of people have this preconception and it's free, which it is if you really think about it, but your time and resources invested in it is not. And I think that's the first thing you have to realize. Am I going to commit to doing this and doing it the right way? A lot of people don't, and they just hurry to do something, like what we say here in Belize, hurry get something up. And in the beginning it might work, but if you don't have a long-term or medium strategy of what you're going to be doing on social media, soon enough you're going to find it difficult, or people are going to come and you're going to meet things on the way that you never thought of, or you didn't think that, how can I deal with this? Like, like a crisis management, like somebody bought something from you and it just virals into this negative thing for you. So you really have to plan.
I don't even know where to start with this. So, it's so true, because it's more than just putting up a post. Like let's say I have a small business. I'm maybe doing some consulting on the side or some kind of service or product. And I say, here's my special for the day. And every day I put up, here's my special. And maybe I have investors and they think that's enough, but that's not how it works. How does one devise a strategy?
Wow, that's
a broad question.
What are some of the questions you need to ask yourself then? Let's start there.
I think you have to find your unique selling point. Just like you do before opening any business, you have to have a business plan. Similar, you have to have a digital marketing plan or a social media strategy. Ask yourself, what is it that you offer that will make you stand out amongst your competition, and then you start looking at the content that goes along with that, and different other companies that might have similar content, right? I'll give you an example. Like if I'm IDB, right, I'm going to be promoting all the NGOs and their efforts, because chances are that these are my partners, that these are the agencies that I'm probably giving grants to. So I want to amplify their reach, and it might become reciprocal. For small businesses, I think in Belize there's a big opportunity. One, and I like what John mentioned in the beginning, that there's so many things he doesn't know, but things move so fast. And what we've learned in the past year, you almost have to unlearn and learn it in a new way, because things are moving so fast paced. So having a fresh start is not a bad thing in this case. You have to have an open mind and think like big brands. I always tell small businesses, you gotta think like big brands, because Facebook has given you the platform and the opportunity to do things like that.
And I wanted to venture off into this, the small business, like you mentioned. Last week we spoke about entrepreneurship and the fact that a lot of folks are not willing to go into it because they don't want to lose. But probably they think, I need to spend a lot of money having to market myself. Now, for small businesses here in Belize, would you say that Facebook would be the ideal place, or on the web, the ideal place to get my thing started in terms of marketing?
Definitely. I think it's, and going back to the entrepreneurs taking that leap of faith, that's what they call it. It's very scary. You're right. It's something a lot of people don't want to do. But in the same time, failure is the road to success. Like Thomas Edison found, I don't know, maybe 1,000 ways of how not to create light, until he did. If you really look at it.
So trial and error is good.
Yeah. If you look at other entrepreneurs, they're not, it's not that they want to fail, but I think they take that risk, and they know that that's the road to success, and if you don't try, then you're going to be in the same place you started. So you're not going to move forward. But going back to Facebook, I think it offers that free opportunity to kind of like test your products or test your services in a maybe calculated risk. You know, I get a lot of people reaching. Just yesterday, somebody was reaching out to me about this new service that they want to provide, and they're like, you know, we don't know how it's going to go. I've already made the investment. It's going to be here in the next month. You know, I'd like for you to come and try it. I'm like, and I'm looking at it like, wow, this is great. Like, why are you worried? You know, you just got to plow forward, you know. And
so let's take you back to the basics. We know you've taken the time to prepare us to learn to have our introductory lesson into Facebook marketing. So let's start there.
Okay. Well, I think the first thing a lot of small businesses, and my focus is going to be small businesses.
Okay, great. So let's use an example to be clear. If we're doing cakes, I make cakes.
Or a TV
I've become
show.
a baker this morning, or T-shirts, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
I think having the right setup features on your Facebook fan page, first and foremost, it has to be a fan page. And then when you start, then you have to realize, am I a brand, am I a product, am I a shop? Because then Facebook will unlock different features depending on the nature of your business, right? So if I'm a laundromat, then maybe people will be able to check in, versus if I'm a TV show, chances are that button might not be there, right? So setting up your profile adequately.
Okay. Don't worry. Go ahead. We're just checking my voice a little bit.
So setting up your Facebook fan page adequately and completely. You know, Facebook even gives you little tips like, oh, you know, your profile is 90% complete. Can you tell us if you have a web page? Can you put in your phone number? Can you put in your correct address? You know, just having all these key features really helps your customer find you, because, you know, Facebook will have a button that says get directions to go to Le Petit or get directions to this new place right around my house. I didn't even know it was there. Baked, right? I thought it was like somewhere in Placencia or San Pedro, the way it looked, because the layout just doesn't seem like too black for my house, right? So I was like, wow, this is there, you know? So you got to make sure that you also have your complete profile. Make sure you have your logo. If you have a logo, make sure you use your cover page. Your cover page is like your prime real estate.
Let's go back to the photo before this, and this is I think what you were talking about, so we can show people, which is differentiating what type of business that you are, from
a brand to a product to a service to a band or public figure. You know.
See, we can make you a public figure page.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, Facebook does that once you've reached, I think, 5,000 friends. They're like, wait a minute, you can't. They actually just evolve you into a public figure by default. You know, because you can't have more than, they're saying you really can't have
any
more than 5,000 friends.
And you can't have more than 1,000 pending requests.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
so don't be picky. Become a public figure.
Ouch, Minor. So, you know, and this is great for people. Let's not, I mean, if they're new artists in Belize, they also need to build a public page as well.
From the ground up.
Technically, us who work on television should have a public profile as well. I'm guilty of being terrible at it. Companies, brands,
or NGOs, you know, because then again, when you sign up as an NGO, then it gives you different features like, you know, like donate button or stuff like that, and you can connect to e-commerce. So you really gotta make sure that you find that affinity of what your small business is on Facebook. So take some time to explore what are the different options, because even with each one of these, there's like a deeper dive into industry type, how many employees you have, what size business. I mean, it really gets to very, very detailed level.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, we have selected, what was the business we were doing again? I don't remember. Go ahead, Minor.
Yeah, so here you have to make sure that you have a really good, attractive face cover page. And this is actually, the dimensions are there. There's applications that would crunch it for you. So everything is pretty much, you can do it on your phone. But why is that important? Because you have to make sure that it's a photo that represents your company, your small business, right? That stands out, right? Remember your unique selling point. So if it's breakfast stuff you're doing, then make sure that, you know, you have really nice photos of that. Make sure you include your logo as well, and make sure that you complete your entire profile, like your telephone number. If people can email you, even if it's a Gmail account you have and not an official, you can do that, right?
Where would be the better place to put your logo? Can you do your logo as your cover or as your profile?
I would say the way it's laid out on Facebook, I think it needs to be on your profile picture, because when it changes for mobile or tablet, your cover photo shrinks, or crunches. And so you want your logo to be the same, and that's why it's 180 by 180 pixels, because then Facebook actually moves that around depending on the platform.
So your help by Facebook is very significant, and there is a lot of help there because they show you exactly, or they tell you exactly what's best for you, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
You can also do videos for your profile photos,
you
now,
could
right?
do
Really?
GIFs. Yeah, you could do videos. There's a lot more features, and actually I'm very excited. At the end of today, I'll mention 2 new features Facebook has launched in the US, but we just hasn't rolled out in Belize as yet, right?
Which means we can wait for it. We'll get it eventually. If it's successful in the US. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you need to make sure you fill out the About section. I see a lot of people don't fill that section very robustly. Make sure it's very descriptive as to what your business environment is about, what are your business goals, because
I like that you said that, but at the same time, one of the things that we're learning is actually when you have too much to read, then people don't want to go on there.
That's true, but remember, this is not a post, so if people click on it, it means they are uniquely interested to learn more about you, and you don't want to disappoint them by saying, I'm a restaurant in Belize City, and I've seen it where, there's even, and I'm going to give a lot of examples in no names.
Okay.
Tell us.
Like Panade Shop here in Belize, they advertise a lot on Facebook, or, just I get home and my wife's like, oh, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, where's that? And then we go and try it, right? Because on Facebook, what you do is, there's 3 layers, right? Just for small business to understand. You're not hardcore selling. You're, 1, creating awareness. 2, you're creating engagement. And then you're creating conversions, meaning people are going to walk to your shop or send you an email and purchase,
You see some nice steamy looking panades or a nice croissant.
Or easier example would be all the buy and sells that have been populating, People are going to ask how much is this for? Price, why didn't you put the price? People are you already created brand awareness, you're engaging, and then now the conversion may be that you find somebody who's willing to pay you what you're asking for.
Yes.
Right? So the next step would be to create a balanced content diet, right? And why do I mean by that?
Balanced diets are hard.
I was just about to ask.
Is it easier on Facebook?
I don't think so. I think we're overfeeding our audiences a lot of times.
We're obese on Facebook too.
Yeah, we spend so much time on Facebook, but at times you gotta give your audience something to look for, something to look forward to. So I think having that, first and foremost, you have to create a content calendar where you're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna put a photo today, tomorrow I'm gonna put a short video, the day after I'm gonna write a little blog, or I'm gonna do a special offer, So mixing your content, and then at the end, and this is one of the other metrics we're gonna look at, is that you gotta see what's working, right? And a lot of times, like what you guys mentioned, we're not posting enough. It's not about posting enough. It's about having the quality versus quantity. Right?
Okay.
And I think that's very important, because I don't post often, but when I post, I get huge engagements. I get a lot of comments on my personal Facebook page, and it's because I don't overpopulate my Facebook with stuff that's not relevant to my friends, if you really think about it, right?
Can I ask just one quick question here? Because I think the concern is with the Facebook algorithm, which is what Facebook chooses to put in somebody's news feed. I think sometimes people have a fear that if I don't post, then I won't make it into anybody's news feed because I'm inactive. Is that how it works? Can you demystify how that works?
Actually, well, that is totally true. Facebook could actually send you a message, and for those people who have a fan page, I manage over 25 fan pages, and I see when you don't post often enough or in that regular periodic rate that we've been used to, every 2 days, and tell you mine are
you haven't posted
3,000 fans haven't heard from you in 4 days. What's going on? Because at the end of the day, Facebook ultimate goal is to keep people on Facebook. Like they do everything and anything to keep you on Facebook. Even when you try to click on a web page, it's still an extended version of their platform so that you come back. They don't ever want you to leave. It's kind of like Hotel California. You know, you can come anytime, but you can't leave. You're busy.
But I think they're actually doing a good job with it, because seriously, there are some folks who can't put down their phone. They want to see what's next. Is there any such thing as too much photos for businesses, small businesses? You know what? You're posting too much, or you're putting too much pictures. I didn't get the sense of the first one. Is there any such thing?
I think there is. You know, one of the things that you have to look at again is your content diet, right? If you give too much to your audience, they're gonna be like, you know what, I'm not gonna come back for a while because you overstuff me. Yeah. You know, but if you give like, oh, here's a behind the scenes of what's coming up.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Then I'm like, oh, I'm still hungry. I want more, right? Or it could be, you know, if it's a small restaurant, it could be like, check out what we're cooking for a new breakfast item tomorrow. So I'm like, hey, but what it is, right?
Look at us frost the cake. That's getting big now, watching people frost cakes.
Right, that's huge. And fashion, you know, fashion is just like through the roof, like globally. You know, you look at any big fashion brands and they're just like millions of followers, right? So I think not giving them too much is also a good thing. So you want to give them less so that they keep coming for more. Don't give them everything so that they come once a month, right? You want to create that engagement, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we said you need a balanced diet. In other words, I don't need to post everything all day. I want to post things that I know people want.
Yeah.
It's like supply and demand kind of.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you have a friend who posts like every single thing, right? It's like, I don't want to, and imagine if that was a brand, you'd be like, I'm not even going through that shop.
I unfollow, right?
Yeah.
Just can't.
It's too much, it's too much.
Yeah.
So I think it's also important to have that balanced diet and also encourage engagements. You know, I think some of the things that you can do is, very subtly, you could say, tag a friend who needs a muffin, right? And maybe put a tray of muffins and one is missing, right? And then that's going to encourage engagements. Like, I'm going to tag you guys are going to tag your friends, and that's building my community.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So those are some of the things you could do to encourage engagements. You could also do polls, right? Like, what do you guys think? We're thinking about changing our menu, or we're thinking of bringing new clothing line for winter. What would be some of the things? And you'll be right on if you hear what your audience wants to have at your business, right?
Okay, now, but is there Facebook etiquette in terms of who you tag? Because I know it happens, and you know, I don't have a problem because I don't do that much with my personal page, but people tag you because they want the exposure from it. They want to build their engagement.
Yeah.
And I know some people who absolutely hate it as well. So is it, how do you do it?
Wow, okay, well, there's two things. One, you're right, there's a Facebook etiquette where Facebook actually doesn't allow brands to tag people. Right? That's called spamming, right?
Yeah.
So they don't allow it. And I know Facebook is very careful as to not do that. You know, even when they were developing games, there were some models that they had looked at, you know, based on some case studies where to reach to another level, you had to invite more friends. And that was going wrong, and they quit that. They said, you know, we don't stand for that because we want people to be on Facebook because they want to, not because we're forcing people to be on Facebook. So they don't allow brands to tag people. You can tag other brands that like you.
Okay.
Only.
Okay.
So if you do business with other companies that, but they don't like you, you're not able to tag them, right? Unless they like you back.
I want that for breakfast.
That one caught us eyes, man.
Yeah.
One of them is missing too.
That's such a great idea. Maybe I would have put tag the thief you think is behind this.
You know, you could get very creative, and that's where the next point is going to come up, where you got to think like big brands, right? You got to make sure you have a CTA, which is a call to action.
Okay.
You know, a call to action could be, and I've seen some companies in Belize, actually just this Sunday, there was a restaurant that put a post up, and, you know, they had their Juicy Lucy burger for, I don't know, like 50% off, but it was like before 3. And by the time my wife again inside, I'm like, it's already 3. By the time we get there, it's gonna be too late. But, you know, those are quick things that you could do, or have a flash winter sale, or, you know, offer a special for your past customers.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like 20, I've seen a company do this, like 20% off for my loyal customers, you know, for this day, right?
Okay.
So you gotta create those call to actions so that people can, again, you have to encourage engagements, and at the end of the day, you have to also, you've gone past the brand awareness, the engagement, you know, looking at conversions, right? Because you gotta monetize this thing, right? If you're spending so much time on it.
Definitely.
What is engagement?
All right, so engagement
there's a measure you can see on Facebook, right?
Yes,
Okay.
which they actually don't explain, but an engagement is a like, share, or comment. So LSC, that's what we call it.
So it means they didn't just see it. They did something with it.
They did something, or a view. Actually, a view is also an engagement. But I think for more digital marketers in the past couple of months, they've been a huge debate whether, you know, a like is really an engagement, because we know people that are just liking stuff as they browse through their feed and are uniquely stopping at your post and reading or clicking and reading the full article or whatever.
Okay.
So I think Facebook is already on that, and they're looking at perhaps creating another metric to measure that, you know, because like is not
we don't really like it.
true,
We just
or number of followers, you know, like a lot of people in the beginning were like, oh, I have 3,000 followers, or oh, I have 1 million followers. But now a lot of brands are becoming more savvy, because it serves you for nothing to have 1 million followers if you're getting 1 comment or 2 likes. So your engagement as a metric has taken a more important role.
How important is, and I just learned about this not too long ago, boosting.
Okay.
What is boosting?
Wow.
That's going into advertising.
Yeah, that's going into advertising, but boosting is actually promoting one of your posts as an ad, or a video, or an album, you know, whatever is performing. And actually, that's Facebook trying to monetize what they're doing, because yes, they love that you're spending a lot of time on Facebook, but they also, the longer time you spend on Facebook, the longer time they have to sell you ads. If you really think about it from a business model, right? So they want you to spend more time. Another way of encouraging engagements, if you're a small business, would be to check-ins, right? And you could do this in a very subtle offline way. You know, you could have it on your napkins or on your table mats, or when people ask you for the Wi-Fi, just be like, hey, remember to check in. You know, or I know a lot of companies, what they do is they put it on their receipts. Right? Both the Wi-Fi password and their Facebook. So people check in. And even Facebook tells you, you know, I've been to places where your Facebook actually tells you, hey, you know, you were just at Open Your Eyes. Do you want to check in? You know?
It's true. It's
so
true.
They're also pushing out their algorithms and all their interactions, because they want everyone to think they are pretty much the best social media platform.
And you're right. We see this more and more with businesses. Like if you go to coffee shops in the States, you'll always find their hashtags or their handles. Sometimes all over the place. Like you can't miss it. It's where you're checking out, and they'll say check in, like us, share your comments, rate us, and
some
and stuff
companies
like that.
even give you like a free something, you know, like a free coffee refill, or you get a donut if you check in. And they won't do it online. They'll put a little sign maybe on the table and say, if you check in, you know, you'll get a donut, or you'll get a free additional whatever, right? And you're there with your phone. Hey, it doesn't cost me anything. I was gonna check in anyway. So I get something, right?
Know your audience, because some people love checking in everywhere. It's the ones who are harder to disclose their location. But why is it important? Because it seems kind of, you know, unnecessary to people who don't understand. Why do you want people checking into your business?
I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, well, it gives you social media validation, one, right? Because if 1 million people have gone there, it's kind of like your reviews, right? Whenever people check in, they would also perhaps put up a photo. So you'll be able to go through, when you're in that decision making, should I go to A or B? And then you're like, wait a minute, this other place, it's kind of like when deciding where to eat, you know, like, and then you're like, nobody's over there. Maybe I should go in this line, because there might be good, you know. There's a line for a reason, right? So if you really think about that, check-ins are the same way, you know. Why are more people going to this place that offer the same thing the other does, right? So psychology tells you, like, well, I'm going to go there. Everybody's going there, I'm going to go there. Right?
And so the next step, do we have another, the importance of Facebook check-in? All right.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about, the CTAs, the call to actions, right?
Oh, okay.
So you gotta create conversion. So now you created brand awareness, you have good engagements, but how do you get these people to come in and shop and buy what you're selling, right? So you need to create special offers, you need to tell them, you can also create a poll, right? Or you could even create a quiz or a contest. And Facebook now allows you to do all that for free on their platform, you know? And also, like this example here, like
time for a brief quiz.
This is a quiz, right? And then you give a prize,
so cute.
right? So then you're doing two things here. You're creating engagements and you're also creating conversion, because whoever wins is gonna get whatever your services or products. So they're also gonna be sort of like a brand ambassador for you, right?
All right.
And what to include in your photos, right? I think a lot of people don't know what to include in their photos. Include your customers, right?
Yeah.
That's a great way of kind of like shouting them out for being at your small
Your
business,
establishment, yes.
right? And they like to see themselves, and if they have a lot of friends, then that might trigger a lot of comments for your business as well, right? So
And it actually works, because if you know that your friend have been there and there's a review on it, then why not go there?
yeah.
You know?
And make sure you use people, right, in your photos. People like to see themselves when they're browsing through Facebook. I mean, some brands have tried this, and it may have worked if it's humorous. But this versus the next photo where you would see a couple of friends wearing the clothes that you're selling.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, that might look good on me, you know? I might just try that. And try to use as regular people as possible. You know, unless
Models,
you're
just
very
regular-
unless you're really catering to that, like the models only type body,
It's
you know,
true.
because people will be like, they might not have my size, or you know,
Or it looks good on this person because they're muscular,
yeah.
or
Exactly.
you know, they're more trendy than I
or
am.
think about having different versions of maybe the same dress being worn, right? So think about that. Your audience wants to see themselves using the services or that you're offering.
Okay, nice.
Right?
101 is actually working out.
Yeah, you might go on Facebook now.
Maybe.
Well, the last one is, we're all small businesses. We're doing a million things. We're in the line at the bank. We're going to pay bills. You have to be able to have the right tools at your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
And if you have that, then you're able to manage on the go, right? And this actually saves a lot of people a lot of time. Yeah. When I do digital marketing trainings, I tell them, I have a slide with over 50 apps that I have on my phone that I use mostly. I have over 100 apps. But you can actually do everything from your phone, and actually Facebook is telling you if people are spending more time on their mobile, right, then create content with your mobile,
Should you also check what your post looks like on a mobile device? Because maybe I'm using my computer and it just it doesn't look the same when I put it up when I look at it at my phone, on my phone.
Definitely, because you want it to render the right way. And actually, if you're running ads, it will actually give you versions of what your ad looks like on a desktop, on a mobile, on a tablet, right? So I think it's very important to do some testing.
Wow.
So I have 3 questions. Let me try to tackle them all at once. I want to start off first with the most important one, which scares a lot of people. You think of likes, that's important, but reviews.
Yeah.
And you do have an option whether or not you include the reviews.
It depends on how you set up your fan page. So then you do get, if you're like a restaurant or a shop, like a local business, you do get that opportunity to get reviews, right? And they're open and they're honest.
And you cannot delete them.
And they're unscripted.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I'm a small business, do I take the risk of putting it on my page, not putting it on my page?
I think, again, going back to how you set up your Facebook fan page profile, you will have the opportunity of doing it or not.
Okay.
So that's sort of like predetermined by Facebook. But regardless, I think if you get 1 or 2 bad reviews, it's okay. But if you see a trend, then you have a problem. So you have to address it and perhaps let your audience know, this is how we are addressing it, we're apologizing for it. But there's another how to deal with crisis management, which is the leader method, right? You have to empathize, you have to listen, you have to find out what really happened before you take blame.
Okay.
Right?
And I was just about to ask that question because there will be people who would eventually give you some negative reviews.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with these people? And do you keep that frustration in? Do you try to address it as soon as possible? And the reason why we're asking this is because it's out there and then things do happen.
Yeah. Well, I think two things can happen, right? If you have a good engagement rate and you've created a large brand awareness and you have a large following, chances are somebody who's one of your followers is gonna tackle that for you. And I've seen that happen many times. Like, oh, that's so weird. I've been there.
Yeah, you do
weekend.
have your supporters.
Yeah, so they're like your brand ambassadors. So at that point, like you're like, okay, just step back, let them do the work, right?
Yeah, you see that on buy and sell too. When somebody posts something really harsh.
And then be like, oh, beware of this guy. Like he's sketchy, kind of stuff. So people warn you.
Yeah.
Like people are on the lookout. So if you have a good track record, and this might be a one-time miss, right? Then chances are, or if somebody's just trying, maybe your competition's trying to give you some negative feedback,
which
that
is
happens,
possible,
chances are your followers will come in and your digital
have your
army,
back.
they'll have your back, right?
Wow.
But if that doesn't happen, what you got to do is try to drive the conversation away. Just be like, hey, can I PM you, and then start that conversation outside the fact, because you don't want to have it publicly. Because you don't know what you're gonna find out, right? So while you're investigating what really happened, that minor really not give them back the correct change,
Okay.
You want to find that off, and then because then you're gonna have to go in your cameras, review, and ask your employees.
Good point.
And the last one, and I think Marlene and I were talking about this, is you gotta monitor your Facebook metrics, right?
The right metrics.
The right metrics, yes, because a lot of people try to look at different key performance indicators, and they're not the right ones, right? Think about, again, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is conversions, right? So, and I ask a lot of people that I train this question, I'm like, how many people come to open your eyes for the year? Right?
Okay, let's try to do that math. I don't know.
Roughly.
I'm horrible.
Let's say 365.
We have 3 different segments. If we go with minimum people, let's say it's 3 to 6 people. So let's say 5 people a day.
All right,
5
so
times
5 times
a week.
5 times 1 week, which would be 5 times 5 times 5. Oof, man.
5 times 5 is
Forgot it.
25. It's like
25
100,
times 5,
1,200 people.
All right, so if you don't have
Minimum.
at least 1,200 fans on your Facebook, you guys are not doing it right.
We've passed that. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that part.
Some businesses have so much more people going through their business, and they don't bring them to Facebook, and I think that's one of very key important metrics to look at. I've seen companies that as they finish using their service, they just take their phone and be like, hey Marlene, could you give me a quick testimonial? And then they upload it, and it's raw, unscripted, and it's based on their experience. So this could get a little confusing, especially if you're not much strong, I would say.
So this is your first dive into looking at your Facebook insights. Insights to the top, which is you're analyzing how people are using your page, right? And I was telling you that I know sometimes people only look at green and red.
Yes.
And they take that as the full package. What should we be checking on this page?
The first thing would be your growth.
Okay.
Right? Don't worry about the total number of likes, right? Because, and one thing I want to mention before we move into this is your insights for small businesses may not look like this until you've reached a certain number of followers, right? So every time you reach like 500 or 1,000, then you start getting new metrics unlocked, if you may, right?
Okay.
But going back to your question, Marlene, I think some of the key things is to measure growth, because that will help you measure success.
Okay.
Right? So how many on average followers am I getting a week, per month, right? And also, one of the things that I measure, I don't think a lot of people do, is the unlikes. And Facebook actually
I look at on likes, the day, the peak time that it and then I go back to that specific post and see what made people unlike.
Yeah, so the other one you mentioned it is when is your audience mostly online? So Facebook would actually give you a graph that shows you when your audience is connected.
So there's a high time for you,
yes. There's a peak time. So
and Belize is fascinating. It's all work hours. It's like,
right? Really?
Yeah, well, there's a slight peak in the early morning, and then when people get to work 8:39, that's like...
That's peak time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's another
Sorry.
one.
Some employers are like, oh, really? Let me go check on my...
After all, it's Facebook 101, right? So
Sorry,
it's the reality. It is the reality.
Actually, early morning, like when you get to work and right before
because it's a check time.
It's like, oh,
people are usually...
Work's almost done.
A lot of people, I've asked people this question, like, how often are you on Facebook? And they're like, they're either on all day long or they usually check before they go to work and then like during breaks.
Yeah.
So you're right.
You're bailing them out, which is very good.
You're right.
Savage situation. We know what's happening.
And I think the other great metrics you gotta look at. Don't worry about your reach. Your reach is gonna come in time. This is gonna be a steady strategy.
What is reach?
Reach is the number of people that actually see your post.
Okay.
But are not your friends or your friends.
But they're
right.
They actually
so it could be, let's say I shared something and then John shared it. Then he has, you said 5,000 friends. So then my reach will be 5,000 friends plus the number of friends that saw it on my feed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a more global statistic that allows you to measure how sticky your content is.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I think
sticky. Okay.
Yeah, and the other metrics, which for me is the most important, is engagements, right? Because engagements, they're like Facebook leads. So if we look at the other photo,
can I ask one quick question? What's the difference between actions on the page and post engagements?
All right. So again, actions on your page would be like your like, share, comment. However, your post engagements could be what John shared. Which is my content, but on his feed.
Okay, so the people who commented on
it's
the post
like
that John shared from you. Okay.
So
we're getting it.
So if it's 0, it means that nobody really shared my content, right? And this for me is the most important deck to look at, because then here is what really tells you what's working and what's not, right? Am I giving my audience the right type of diet, right? Like, am I reaching them? And if you look quickly here, this one that says 11.5 thousand, that's the reach. But you also have to look at the engagement, right? The little blue bar. And
this is great because you can see it here. It's like 10,000, almost 11,000 reach with the second and 11.5, but the engagement is much different between the two.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for me, while reach is important, I think for me engagement is greater in indices, if you may, that people are truly uniquely interested in your brand.
Yeah.
Because again, anybody could just like stuff as they're browsing through your feed, right? They don't really, like, I know for a fact, like I just like all my friends' stuff. Whether I read it or not.
Because now they take it very personal if you don't.
Right?
You didn't like my baby's picture.
It's really?
So I'm just like...
It's a whole different world. You made the best decision staying out.
Facebook 101.
but if I take the time to, like and comment and be like, oh, like, where's that? I really like you to share that location. Then it's like a bigger interest level than just a like for me. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, engagements are the go-to metric,
Okay.
And engagements grow depending on your interaction with your audience. So it's a percentage, not a number like your fans.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a more symbolic number to look at.
Now, Minor, one of the key things with building an engaging post, what's your suggestion in terms of how one interacts with their audience? Should it be kind of factual, like, or should it be speaking directly to the person reading?
Wow, you mean like on a
the voice, the voice that you're going to use. Like,
well, that really depends on your brand and how creative and how open you are to try new things. Because I don't know. I'll give you an example from a web page standpoint.
Okay.
Like, if you've gone to perhaps any web page and you find a 404 error, like, they might say, oh, we're out on vacation, but check back again. You know, so they get funny and quirky. Versus some people, depending on your personality, and this is what Facebook allows you. You're personifying your brand, and it's most of the time it's an extension of you as the entrepreneur or the owner, right? So if they know you like to crack jokes, then be that person for your brand, because that's a unique selling point.
Yeah.
I've seen where brands actually don't answer, and then they take the time to actually do like a live feed, and just on Friday morning they go like, oh, so we've been getting kind of like not a poll, but like a live feed.
Yeah.
Like a
the
short
live Q&A
feed.
segments now. They do it even on TV shows.
Yeah, so where they're like, we've been getting a lot of questions about X and A, and so we just wanted to take the time to go through them, right? And you could make it funny, you could shoot videos like, oh, people want to know, how do we do that special coffee, I don't know, frappuccino or whatever, right? So, and again, you have to plan it. And it depends on you, how funny and quirky, because I know corporate businesses are pretty tight on what they do, or there's a lot of red tape in terms of creativity.
But it's still best to talk directly to your audience, even if you're being more formal. Like if I'm a bank, it's
different.
You want to be able to trust the people taking care of your money. You're still talking to the person, but not saying, "Give me your money."
And I've also seen where brands have actually personified some of their staff. So like maybe they will have like a photo of you guys together and say John and Marlene, and that's a Facebook profile, and that's like their brand ambassador as a person talking to their customers. And I've seen it also with what's the duck insurance company? Have you guys seen that commercial lately?
The duck one?
Aflac.
Aflac, yeah. There you go.
Like, oh, no,
I'm sure you can do the Aflac voice.
Aflac.
There you go.
But I mean, they've actually, in one of their last commercials, they actually personified the dog into one of their customer service reps. So they're like, Aflac, you've seen it,
I've seen that. I've seen
now
that.
We offer 24-hour service, and then there's a little dog late at night in the office just answering calls and behind a computer. So, it's still funny and quirky, but
and
brands
who was
do
first?
that.
Was it Geico or Aflac?
I don't know.
In terms of
and that's a good point. Competition has to step up. And then there's
sometimes you see
what's
what
the lady's name? Meg or
Pam?
Pam?
Was it Pam?
Something, and then there's a child version of her. But all the insurance company had to.
Being here progressive, right?
Yeah, progressive. I think it's Pam. Yeah. Oh, it's Flo.
Flo, yes,
Flo. There we go. We don't. We're supposed to know anything, aren't we?
Yeah, but they make funny characters to interact with their customers. Even though it's a serious kind of tone, like what you mentioned, like a bank. Right,
but it catches on for folks who've got that side of them. So there's always ways to catch your audience.
So there was this wonderful. I wish I should have brought it. There was NPR, which is a very serious, very well-established news agency, and obviously their the person responsible for Facebook content didn't switch persons on their whatever they were posting on. So the person got home maybe like 11 at night. I just want to share it because it's such a great example. And so they're talking about news all over the world, from war to crisis to whatnot. And her post was obviously about her toddler. I give my child, she said her name, I think it was like Haley or something. I give my child X, nothing. I give my child Y, nothing. My child sees a dog and I get or a cat and I get a great squeal. And everybody's like, okay, wrong post. But the reactions, the engagement on that post was amazing.
It's an epic fail.
So much so that even the people, and if that would have happened here, it would feel like a nightmare. But what the audience started saying is, it's so great to know how hard you all work and you still have children who you have to go home and take care of, one. And two, we'd love to know more about your child. So the following day, they did a full story, including the child and the person who did the post. And it also had great engagement. So I think even when you're meant to be serious and something goes wrong, if your audience appreciates you, they still respond lovingly, if I should say. So that was always, I think that's a great example. I have to send you the link.
Yeah, please do. And I think you have to remember that social media wasn't meant originally for corporate, you know, it was meant more for social. That's why it's called social media, you know. It shouldn't have that business serious tone. It should be about entertaining and relaxing.
Entertaining,
you know,
engaging, and
kind of like a school cafeteria. You know, if you really think about it, that's how Facebook started. You know, with college kids, and it was all about gossip. You know, and it was basically an online cafeteria, college cafeteria,
online cafe.
Now it's a global cafeteria, and still the #1 social media, right?
Yes.
As much as Twitter is very, very common in certain areas, social media, I meant Facebook for businesses especially is the biggest. So we are so grateful. I think you gave us so much great advice, and we hope especially, and I love that you catered it for small businesses, because there are lots of, it's Entrepreneur Month, and people can consider what they have been doing, what they've been doing right, and what they need to do better, right? Thank you so much, Minor.
Thank you for having me. It's
always good to have you, sir. Facebook 101. I might open a Facebook now.
The next challenge is you'll come back on how to promote a public personality, right?
Yeah, we can work on that next.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, there's more technology. It's going to be digital technology and lenses with Quartz Optical, so stay tuned.